Hey everyone, I have Kristin Harms today with us, and she is a champion of historic preservation, and she's here to tell us about historic preservation. She's here to tell us about historic properties and all that good stuff. If you are a history buff and if you love older homes, then you are in good company. Hello, Kristin. How are you doing?
Hi, Roxanne. I'm great. How are you?
I am so excited to have you join us
Oh,
today. Thank you for taking your time and joining us today to talk about such an important topic.
well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about who Kristin Harms is and what she does.
Well, I've lived in University Heights for over 36 years. Like so many of us, I love our community for many different things, including its walkability, its great restaurants and shops, community spirit, and last but not least, significant history. And I've been retired since 2019. I've been involved.
Congratulations.
What's that?
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I've I've been involved with Historic Society actually since 2007, but since I've been retired, I've had, more time to devote to it. So that's what I'm doing.
Excellent. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about historic preservation. What does that mean to our audience?
Well, the official definition of historic preservation is, preserving our landmarks, our homes, through an official designation process. And we have many designated landmarks, historic districts, and historic homes in University Heights. And, I'm hoping to encourage more owners to think about historically designating their homes.
So, what does it mean to historically designate a home?
Well, homes can be any property that has potential for historic preservation can be designated at the city level, at the state level, or even at the federal level. The community of Mission Hills recently nominated an historic district in their community at the national level. So it can be done at three different levels.
Hmm. Okay, and you've sent me some pictures that are interesting to share with our viewers, and I was wondering, so when you're saying historic district versus a historic house, can you tell us about what's the difference between that, and then what does it mean to actually designate a house?
Well, with a historic district, if you think of the homes, the beautiful homes around Panorama Drive and along Spalding Place,
Mhm.
um, they were recently approved as part of an historic district, which consists of historic homes that are all located next to each other within a fairly defined area. So, all of Panorama Drive, all of Spalding Place. There are several other historic districts in University Heights. And the processes are similar for a home versus a district. There has to be a lot of research done on the integrity of the properties, on the context statement, which is kind of the story, if you will, that provides the historical context. And so there's a bit of a process with a district, and all the owners have to approve the district. And once all the research is done, the report is prepared, it's submitted to the city, and is approved, then it's a done deal. Um, with a home, an individual home, the process is similar in that research has to be conducted. A comprehensive report has to be prepared, and then that has to be submitted to the city for approval. And I recently completed a page on our website, which you're showing right now, our website. And under, I believe it's under the education tab, there is down at the bottom a page on research your home. And for anybody who's really motivated and interested, it's a pretty step-by-step process that we adapted from a guide developed by Save Our Heritage organization. And it spells out the process for researching your historic home, and then how to prepare a report. And we're also planning to have a webinar, hopefully in February, with a really great speaker that will kind of walk homeowners through that process if they're interested in pursuing it.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's very interesting. So if I was a homeowner and I asked, why would I want to designate my home as historic? What would you tell them?
Well, there's of course just the emotional satisfaction of knowing that you're helping to preserve an important part of our University Heights history. And it's also, a sustainable way to adaptively reuse an historic home. The building materials don't go to the landfill as they do with new construction. And then, of course, there's a number of financial incentives. The Mills Act is it's a separate application process after your home has been designated. You have to apply for the Mills Act, but if you're approved, that can mean up to 50% of your property taxes are discounted. So that's a pretty significant benefit. And then in addition to that, the state of California recently passed, and it's just effective this year, potential tax credits of 20 to 25% for owners who want to restore and rehabilitate their historic home. So there's a variety of other incentives as well, but those are probably the top ones right now. I should also mention, though, because I just read this on Soho's website, that, and I think you were going to address this too, Roxanne, that there is a potential increase that's been documented in several studies that historic designation can increase the value of not only your home, but the homes around you. There was a study conducted in 2009 by SDSU or UCSD professor Andrew Narwhald, and he found that homes located within 250 feet of an historic house increased in value an average of 3.8%, and homes located with 250 to 500 feet increased in value an average of 1.6%. So there's a lot of good, emotional reasons and economic reasons to think about designating your home.
Absolutely. Not to mention, it is a lot nicer to look at a building such as this versus looking at buildings such as these, which is what we have today, instead of looking at this magnificent building that used to be at this location, correct?
Yes, I should mention, though, that if you scroll down, a couple of those buildings are actually historic. And even though they may not look great, we're hoping that these are also historic buildings. Annex 3 and 4, they're connected to the normal school that you just showed at the top. And we're hoping that those can be restored and adaptively reused too. But I would agree with you that, some of the new construction that we're seeing going up in our surrounding neighborhoods is frankly not attractive. And beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but I know my preference would be to look at something that's well built, in craftsman style than cheaply built, which unfortunately we see a lot of.
Well, and if we had this building still in our neighborhood, I would argue that we could grab a lot of dollars, touristy dollars, for people to come in and look at a site as magnificent as this if it was still around.
Well, that is true too, that studies have shown that historic preservation can contribute to local tourism as well as the local economy. So, it's good business as well.
Absolutely. So to get back to the fact of savings for homeowners and what their incentive would be, then what we're basically encouraging is for the homeowners to do the research, to basically reach out to you if they want to know more about whether or not their house would qualify. And if the house does qualify, then they're looking at significant amount of savings that they could have, in addition to the fact that their house could be worth a lot more when it's time to resell that house, because of the savings that the next buyer would have, if the house was designated, correct?
I think those are all, accurate statements. And I would certainly encourage anybody who is interested to review that page on our website, to familiarize themselves with the research and designation process, and then sign up for our email list, because we will be hosting a webinar, maybe a series actually, starting in February, about, kind of how to do this and give you the chance to ask questions. Because I'll be, straightforward about it. It's not an easy slam dunk process. You really have to do your homework. Many homeowners wind up hiring somebody, but you don't really have to if you're willing to put the time into it. And I think a lot of people actually enjoy it. It's really great learning, about who lived in your house and what style of architecture it was built in. And so people can do that themselves. And there have been people in the neighborhood who have done their own research and gotten their homes designated. So it's definitely a possibility.
Exactly. Okay, very good. So when is your next meeting going to be? Is that something that you are going to post on your website? Where do our listeners and our viewers can go to actually get that information?
They can just go to our website, and a window will pop up if they're on there for 30 seconds or longer, asking them to sign up for our email. And then you'll be notified about our next webinar. I don't have regular meetings, but we do webinars from time to time. And this one, I think, is definitely something people will be interested in. So just sign up for our email list, and you'll be notified.
Okay, and the website is
UHHS-UHCDC.org.
okay. Let me see if I can put that on the screen so that the viewers can see, and that's when that's where they can go to get more information, and to actually get in touch with your group.
Yes, absolutely. There's a contact us page if you want to reach out to me specifically, right?
So tell us about volunteer opportunities. Do you have any volunteer opportunities?
Well, that's a very good question. I've been doing this kind of by myself for a long time, and I'm getting more interest. Certainly reach out to me. I think the thing I would really like to have in the neighborhood is a couple of people who have actually gone through this process themselves within the last 5 years, who are willing to talk to other owners who want to go through this process. Because there's a lot of ins and outs on the research, on the designation process, and there's nothing better than being able to talk to a neighbor that's gone through it themselves. So um, those are the kinds of volunteers I'm looking for. And we haven't done any events in a while, like so many organizations. So I don't have an immediate need for that. But certainly, if you're interested in doing the research and designating your house, I'd love to talk to you. And ideally, make your expertise available, to other neighbors in University Heights.
What about other neighborhoods? There are historic homes all around our metro area. North
Yes.
Park, South Park, Norma Heights, Kensington, Mission Hills. Is this something that can be extended to homeowners in metro area at large in terms of
Yeah.
location, or is it exclusive to University Heights?
Well, historic designation is it's within the city of San Diego, so anybody who thinks their home might be historic is eligible to go through that process, whether through the city, the state, or the federal. So that process is available to anybody, no matter where they live in the city. And yeah, we have a lot of historic homes throughout the city in all those neighborhoods you mentioned. We're an historic neighborhood.
I was actually talking to some people this past weekend, and they were naming a particular neighborhood in Oceanside that is also historic and on the water, which actually I'm not even familiar with. So would you do you know about that neighborhood, which I don't even know the name? And do you know that would be something that that our viewers could be interested in following up?
I don't know, but I can imagine that Oceanside, being located near to Mission San Luis Rey, I'm sure there's a lot of history up there. I'm not as familiar with Oceanside, but any incorporated city like Oceanside or Coronado or Lakeside, that city will have its own designation process. And so anybody living in another incorporated city would have to check on that city's website to find out what the process is.
Would be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what you are offering and what you're providing is absolutely amazing, and it is so valuable. And on behalf of half the homeowners that live in these historic homes, I have to say thank you for doing the valuable work that you have, and being married to a European and knowing how wonderful it is to go through those old neighborhoods in Europe and just appreciate the history.
Yes.
And the importance of older preserving the historic homes and neighborhoods and towns and all that. I really think that what you're doing is really important. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for sharing all that information with us.
Well, thanks so much for having me today, Roxanne. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much, and we will see you later.
All righty. Bye-bye.